first and foremost, which would be free. Like this will cost you no money to do.
Right. Well, it will cost you time. You get out there.
They do say time is money.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing to think about, because I have, in my little business, someone hires me to weed. So it's not, and I'm just pulling stuff out. I'm not adding a cost to it, but to have me do it, it's worth my time because I know what I'm doing and I can identify the weeds quickly enough to move through it really aggressively. I do it once a month, just come through and weed and make it all look good. For that person, that's worth it. I'm not using chemicals. I'm not taking stuff out that I don't, know what it is. I know what it is.
You're not taking out the peonies?
Not now.
That's awesome.
I don't even like peonies. No, just kidding. I like peonies. They're all right.
Oh, yeah.
They're a little bit all right. But, yeah. So, and then you would go for the homeowner. If you're pulling it out yourself, that's awesome. And then you go to the steps. So non-selective is going to be cheaper than the broadleaf or the grass killer. It just is. You get them in. You could go get Roundup that is ready to use. That's very expensive, but you don't have to mix anything. You don't have to buy any extra equipment. You could just pump that sucker and spray. And then they have that same kind of ready-to-use stuff in the 2,4-D, which is the broadleaf that you can use. It's a little bit more expensive, too, because it's 2,4-D. Really read the label, please. I see people out spraying Roundup or whatever they're spraying. I don't know what they're spraying. No gloves, short sleeves, shorts, sandals. I mean, this is literally what I've seen. And it's like, you gotta be freaking kidding me if you think that you are not absorbing that chemical into your body wearing freaking nothing.
Yeah.
So protect yourself. PPE, that's a whole other freaking conversation. But that kind of gets more expensive as you go there.
So the cheapest and the freest way to do it is just simply to just go out and pull the weeds by hand.
It actually is really fun to do it as a family. It's a good time.
Tell the teenagers that.
Put your phones away. You go out, and I mean, I just do it with my little kids. I mean, the oldest one's 6.
Yeah.
But they know what a weed is or whatever, and my little 2-year-old, she'll just pull up grass or whatever, because we had an issue with our sod when it was laid that it had weeds in it, and they were grass weeds, but I knew what they were. I had identified them as an annual weed. I didn't want to wait until the next season to lay down pre-emergent or whatever, because I knew those were all going to die or whatever. So we just went as a family and systematically dug out all these little grass, and there was a different color to them. You could tell, they were lighter than the bluegrass, so you could just, and it was like some sort of farmyard grass, but it only was able to be sustained or live in it when it's being watered a lot. So by cutting back the water, we could pick them out a lot quicker on the color, and we just had to hand weed everything. But it took us a while, but we did it together. Me and my wife were out there for a few nights before the end of the summer last year. So that was that. Didn't cost any extra money, but there's no way to get that grass out, other than doing, I guess, not environmental controls. What am I saying? Behavioral controls. So by us reducing the water and having, it would have worked, but I didn't want those things to come out and seed. And when I cut the water back, man, they started to try to push out and seed as quickly as they could. They knew they were screwed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, too much competition, not enough water, and
they just
weaken quickly.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and then so the next level of of weed control would be, like you'd mentioned, 2,4-D, Roundup, pre-emergence.
Yep.
But by saying that, that's the homeowner still going to the store and buying these either ready-made mixes or concentrate, doing all of that.
Doing the proper steps too will reduce the amount of chemical that you have to use. So if you use pre-emergence in the early spring, I mean, I would say it's still it's probably too late. You can still probably do it though, to catch some things that would be at the end of the year. But pre-emergent, and then you stop those dandelions from even coming up. So then you don't even have to use the 2,4-D. And use that cost. So, and you could buy a huge amount of pre-emergent, granule pre-emergent for $30, and it will last you for freaking ever.
Yeah.
It's really hard to run out of that stuff. And you can use it in your garden bed or on your grass.
Yep.
Like, they have different amounts that they say on the label of how much to spread it.
Yeah.
And you can follow that.
Now, I do have a quick little story in regards to that just came to mind.
Okay.
And it was a job that, working with Foursquare, that we went and mowed their lawn every week, right?
Right.
And so the homeowner was like, oh, man, if a little bit of pre-emergent's good, a lot's got to be better, right? And so even after having read the label, they went through and put down an extra thick layer of pre-emergent herbicide, which should only work for the weeds that germinate. But what it did is it then, there was so much concentrated toxicity in the herbicide, that granular herbicide, that leached down into the soil and reached the roots, all of the feeder roots of these shrubs. Lilacs come to mind. There was a burning bush. There was all these just beautiful, beautiful shrubs around this this home that had been there for, I mean, they were mature shrubs, and actually a few trees. And you could see the leaves all crunched up on every single one of those shrubs and trees around that entire house. And it was indeed herbicide damage. And it, anyway, so, word of warning, word of caution, be smart, put down the correct amount that is on the container and bag. Don't think that more is better, because, in some ways you could lose thousands of dollars of plantings.
Yeah.
And not just thousands of dollars of plantings, but now you've just lost years and years of time of a really nice landscape. So anyway, I just thought I would quickly throw that in there, and of an experience that we have had.
Right. And that even can go with fertilizer. Like, you put too much nitrogen on your lawn, you will kill your lawn. It's just, they call it burn.
It's too hot, yeah.
And it will freaking it'll kill your lawn. So you got to watch out for that too. But that's biennials, annuals, perennials. I mean, really knowing the life cycle is the key to controlling your weeds.
Yeah, when like to know when to apply your herbicides. Just real quick before we go back, there's one more level. There's one more level of cost when it comes to weed control, and our good friend Freddie Zahn, he knows a lot about this. You can actually hire a landscape and lawn service, to come in and for a relatively minimal fee, treat your lawn for sure, but quite possibly your flower beds, your shrub beds, your tree rings, and everything else. So by saying that, that's going to probably be the highest level. Mm-hmm. But guess what? you save time. So the middle amount of money that you would spend, the mid-grade, the mid-level, if you're willing to do it yourself, handling the chemicals, can be a little bit dangerous. And then using your time to apply them, or you can pay somebody else who knows those chemicals well enough that they can apply them correctly, and it saves you a boatload of time.
Totally. Yep. And they are really good. Like I remember when I was a kid, we'd have to dig out all the dandelions. Because my mom and dad never did it. I don't think they knew about pre-emergence, or we didn't use any other chemicals. We only used fertilizer. So we just had to
hand pick them out.
Hand pick them out. And then when they retired, or right before they retired, they got a service to come spray and fertilize and 2,4-D there, and they've never had dandelion problems ever since. And it's really, I don't want to say how much it would be, but dang, once a month they would come, maybe in a 3-month period. So you buy 3 months worth of spray, and if you wanted more, you could get more. Or they have different kind of compilations. You can get fertilizer with it. You can get all this other sorts. You can get pre-emergence mixed in. I mean, they do the works. So it's really what you want to do. If you want to just do the minimum, they could do the minimum. If you want to go more, they could do more. But yeah, that stuff that's how the U did it. Man, they had someone specifically on lawn weed control all the time, mixing everything, doing it by the book. He was the only one that handled it. I think there was 2 people when I was there, but that's how it goes, man.
Yeah.
But that's weeds. Is that weeds? Feel
that's
good?
weeds. That's weeds, yeah.
All right.
If you have any questions, let us
someone
know.
Who knows.
No, I mean, we could, honestly, go into some extreme detail on that, but, just if you have a question, just give us a shout.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, Brad.
Yeah, thank you, Blaine. See you.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. Hopefully it wasn't too sparse, sporadic. We're trying to cut down the size of the episodes so they're easier to digest. So hopefully this works out for you. Want to thank Lawn Thumbs for sponsoring the podcast. Want to thank Brad for participating with me. I couldn't do it without Brad. Follow us. We're out there. We're on Twitter. I post a lot of gardening tips, a lot of plants that I like. It's mostly geared towards water-wise. I do the same thing for my Facebook group. I find articles and share them, and I really pay attention to on the Facebook with what's coming out directly from the Utah Water Conservancy. So stuff like that. If you're interested in really cutting back on your water, finding better plants that you want to use, those 2 things that I do, Facebook and Twitter. The Horticult, you could I have a Facebook page for the Horticult, and I have a Facebook group, and then I have my own personal Facebook page, and I try to post everything on Twitter too. So check those out. See if you like them. See if they're helpful for you. And there's a lot of good gardening groups on Facebook. So if you're just interested in gardening, not necessarily going water-wise, there are plenty of people out there to answer your questions, to help you. You just got to go look for them. All right. This is Blaine, and we are done for today. Have a good one. Plant on, Babylon.